Welcome to Kensington Senior Living, a family of independent living, assisted in memory care, assisted living, and founded in 2010 by a close-knit group of lifelong senior living professionals. Every day, our team members proudly carry forward our promise to love and care for your family as we do our own. From our heart to yours, we invite you to join the Kensington family. I am so excited for our webinar today for educational purposes for all of you. I am a huge fan of Dr. Monsbach, who is the CEO and president at Counterpoint. You're really in for a treat. Kensington has 8 unique communities, 5 located in Virginia, Maryland, and New York, and 3 sister communities located in California. And we are super excited to announce today that you will be able to sign up for a BCAT screening, which you're going to hear more of in just a few minutes. Kensington focuses on relationship-based care, care built on the foundation of our promise to love and care for your family as we do our own. I was first introduced to Kensington 10 years ago. My father was a resident for over 7 years in California. Please know that everyone that registered for today's event will receive a copy of this webinar to share with friends and family. Please also utilize the Q&A function to submit questions for our panel. Today is for you. Please use this opportunity to ask questions. Please join me in welcoming Iris Pierce. Iris, please join me and share a few words about yourself and why we're here today.
Sure. Thank you, Susan. So I am the Director of Resident Services at Kensington Senior Living. I've been with the company for 11 and a half years. I call myself a lifer. But, ultimately, the why behind it is initially we were looking for an objective screening tool. Part of my role with not only Kensington, but before Kensington with other company and multiple sites, when you're getting placed in a senior living environment, you have a pre-move assessment. And that is where the clinical and care team come together and they get to know you. It may only be an hour that we have with you. And we're trying to decide a really big decision, whether you're assisted living, it could be independent living, or it could be memory care. So the crazy thing is in the state I worked in, there was no formal assessment identified. So you would go in there, you'd ask questions, and it was really based on, orientation, oriented times 4, oriented times 2. Very basic, not a real screening tool. So at the beginning of it, we as a company, we really wanted to utilize a screening tool that was objective, that could help us understand. Initially, it was to screen impairment. We initially went with the MOCA, gives us a scoring, but it was hard to explain and educate to the person with the brain changes. What did it mean, right? What does that number mean? And it was hard to educate the families who were making a hard decision and placing their loved ones in a facility. So ultimately, we started with trying to solve a problem of placement, but it has evolved into so much because through the BCAT and Dr. Mansbach's team as a whole, we were able to utilize the BCAT screening, brief cognitive assessment tool. And it's not just an assessment tool, it's really a map. It's a map of how we can better care for you or your loved one, focusing on not just where the impairment may be, but where the retained skills are. And so it's been a beautiful transition to working in that way. The other thing is we are a cognitive center of excellence, all of our communities. What that means is we have a paid partnership. We practice the BCAT ecosystem, which I'm sure you'll hear more about from Dr. Mansbach. It's really integrating the test system, the secondary tools, and the interventions. And it's things that we've been taught and trained by Lynn and trained by Dr. Mansbach on how to use the test system, as well as the secondary tools and interventions within life enrichment, within how we honor and take care of our residents. It is an honor to take care of people with brain changes, and we want to be able to focus on the retained skills as much as possible. So that's how it started.
My dad was a resident, Iris, as you know, and I've known you for years. And this just speaks, I'm just so excited about this partnership and that the Kensington team wants to give this, provide this as a resource, not just to our residents, to make sure that the living, environment that they move into is appropriate, because we all know that first step is so critical for the long-term, you know, success, but also to provide this to our audience today, that they could actually come to a community and take a BCAT screening. And you talked about the map. You take the map home. You
Yeah.
take the map home, and it's yours to do what you want with. No one else knows your map. But as we know, to be advocates for ourselves, to age in a healthy way, the more information we have is critical. So I'm so excited about this, and I'm so excited to be producing this educational webinar with you, Iris. And at this point, let's invite the star of the show. I didn't really mean to say star of the show because we have other stars, but you kind of are the big star of the show. This is Dr. Monsbach, and he is the CEO and the president of Counterpoint, which has a funnel down to BCAT. So please share a few words about yourself, Dr. Monsbach.
Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Iris. This has really been a wonderful partnership for us. It's difficult to find partners that are simpatico with your values, and certainly Kensington is that. So thank you for all you do and working with us. We certainly enjoy being able to work with you. So my background is in neuropsych. I'm a geriatric neuropsychologist. I've done a lot of work over the years in trying to understand not just memory, but cognition in general. I've really been passionate about creating a cognitive ecosystem. It's much more important to be able to know what to do with an assessment, not just have an assessment. So I hope the BCAT can give people that kind of map, as you said, blueprint. So we really are passionate about a cognitive ecosystem that should really touch residents, their families, and other healthcare providers. I do a fair amount of research. We have a BCAT research center, so it's important. We've often said that it's important to have evaluative tools and so forth that are not based on science but validated by it. So it's a kind of a caveat emptor situation. There are a lot of evaluations that are out there, a lot of brain training that's out there, and that's great. But it's important that you choose tools that are not just supported by science, but validated by science. So what I'd like to do is kind of condense and pick and choose from a large ecosystem to some key pieces of information that I hope you can take home with you. I also hope that as we go through this, you're thinking about questions that really apply to you. This is an interactive conversation. Sure, I'll present some things in a PowerPoint, but really it's just to get a conversation going in some way. So if you would bear with me, let me go ahead and find a PowerPoint here, and we'll go ahead and start talking about it. Please let me know if you can't see my screen. It should start with a call to action. Prioritize your brain health with BCAT.
We can see it.
Okay, great. All right, so we can go forward then. I'm going to start with how Susan really started, which is that cognition is a vital sign. And I should really say that cognition is more than memory. I'll talk about that in some detail in a few minutes. Cognition is really the foundation for why we talk about brain health. You can't really talk about brain health without really understanding the role of cognition. We think that cognition is a vital sign, particularly as we age. It's just as important as blood pressure or heart rate or respiration, temperature, and even pain. The primary or core vital signs that we think about in medicine. So why do we say that? Well, we say that because of function. You can't really separate cognition and function, because if you can't operate cognitively in a successful way, you can't take care of your your daily activities of living, particularly the complex or instrumental ones. Just think about what went into you being on time for this particular presentation this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you live. It's actually a rather complicated thing. It's not just memory, but it's also those executive control functions, the ability to create, I'll use the term world lines, that is the intersection of time and place. Well, this is one reason why cognition really is a vital sign. If you can't do that, then you can't live independently. And if you can't live independently, it's important that you're in an environment where you have the kind of staff and resources and amenities that will support you to live independently, like one would have at Kensington. So we think cognition is at the center of everything we do. With no cognition or low cognition, we certainly can't do as much as we used to do and what might be a meaningful life for us. So assessing cognition is sort of the first step. And I guess I would say that I'm an optimist. I really believe that when you assess cognition, you're not just looking for pathology. You're not just looking for a confirmation that somebody, let's say, has, let's say, the markers for dementia or Alzheimer's disease. You're actually looking for what is preserved as well, just as important. And what can you do with preservation of cognition to promote brain health and psychological well-being? I suppose we should ground this in some sort of context, right? So why are we talking about cognition in older adults? I think we're talking about it because there are fairly high incident prevalence rates of cognitive impairment. So, for example, in residential settings, and by that I mean more formal structured ones like assisted living, inclusive of memory care, and to some extent, independent living, in that kind of structure, 25 to 30% have a condition or a syndrome referred to as mild cognitive impairment. Comment on that in just a moment. But twice as many people have dementia in some stage, from mild, moderate to severe. If you contrast that with people who are living in the community, the rates are a little bit different, but they still are high enough to have some concerns. Nearly 20% of people who are 70 and older have mild cognitive impairment, and probably closer to 11% have dementia that are outside of that 15 to 20%. There was a sort of a statistic that we used to talk about for many years that once you reach the age 70, that the rates of dementia double every 5 years. It's not exactly right. It is right until you get to be 85, and then it doesn't double, after that. But it's a good marker, a good reminder that if you practice, and I'll say this more than once, practicing good brain health, as we will define in a little while, is really not really your tool for preventing dementia as much as an opportunity for delaying onset. And I think this is a very important idea. If I said to you, you know what, your biology is such that you're going to develop, let's say, Alzheimer's disease when you're 80, but we have things that you can do to delay it until you're 85. Not to be morbid about it, but you could easily pass from something non-dementia related in those 5 years and still have those 5 years of positive brain health. And even if you have cognitive impairment, MCI, mild or moderate stage dementia, there are things that can be done to promote wellness, to slow down decline. So I'm a science guy, so everything that I'm going to say has to have science behind it. But I'm also an optimistic person, not just because that's my nature, but because that's what the science is basically telling us. Now, before I go any further, what I should say about MCI is it's not so much of a diagnosis as it is a pass-through. So MCI, it's also referred to as mild neurocognitive disorder, is a true cognitive impairment that does not rise to the level of dementia, but in some cases can convert to dementia in 3 to 5 years. And that conversion can be anywhere from 10% to 70%, depending on other medical co-conditions. I will say that we completed a project study at our center where we found that when people practiced, I'm going to describe it as the BH7, the Brain Health 7 program, that those who came to our clinic with a diagnosis of MCI, they actually at 18 months showed improvement in their cognition as opposed to decline toward or a slide toward dementia. So this is why I think we can have some optimism about this. Okay, so been asked to talk less about dementia and more about brain health. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll begin talking in sort of operational definitional terms. Brain health has been described by many in varied ways. The WHO describes it in a very sort of general, non-specific way. In fact, on their website, they describe it as an emerging and growing concept that encompasses neurodevelopment. So that would be structural brain stuff, plasticity, which is neuroplasticity or the ability to learn new things, functioning and recovery across the lifespan. I think the most important thing is the recovery across the lifespan. Our brains and our synaptic connections among our billions of neurons are under assault from many different ways, very many different conditions. So the brain has to be able to make reconnections among those little gray cells. A more specific definition of brain health would move toward describing positive brain health as opposed to negative brain health. And what's involved in that? Well, it implies an optimal sort of integrity or structure. That means that neurons are well connected neurochemically and electronically, and that there's a preservation of cognition and really psychological skills that impact daily function across the lifespan. It's a dynamic outcome determined by heredity and experience. And so I'd like to drop to the bottom line here. And so we are born with what we're born with, but it's what I do with it, what you do with it that really matters. Brain health is all about agency, having agency. So, if you hear somebody say, well, my mom had dementia, my dad had Alzheimer's disease dementia, I'm certain I'm going to have dementia. What's the point? I would say, well, that's an even better reason for practicing positive brain health. And I think there are 7 things among many things that you can do that would not only improve the odds of delayed onset of dementia if you were going to have it, but aside from dementia, it just makes one have greater well-being and better cognitive capacity. There are terms that are used in this field that you probably already are well aware of. I'll just integrate them just a bit. So one is this idea of cognitive reserve. What is it? Well, it stems from research that started, I would say, about 40 years ago, where there was a question, and the question was, look, for people who have Alzheimer's disease, they have these neuritic plaques and neurofibrillary tangles. But some of those people didn't develop dementia. Why is that? What did they have that buffered or in some ways protected them in some ways? So this term emerged from that called cognitive reserve, and it's really the ability to kind of hold back, create a reservoir of capacities so that if one is going to descent toward, let's say, Alzheimer's disease, the decline is less rapid and the symptom presentation is clearly less present. I think about it as a buffering capacity. And it's not about how many neurons you have. As I'm talking to you, each of you have 80 to 100 billion neurons. It's actually more about how neurons are connected to one another. And that is plastic. That is something that you have something to do with, because when you do certain things, you force neurons to reconnect in certain ways. So people with cognitive reserve, they don't have more neurons. They just have better connections among them. It's sort of like the brain having workarounds in some ways. There is some research that suggested that people who are engaged in lifelong learning who are curious, sort of as a personality trait, are more likely to demonstrate cognitive reserve. That science has relatively small, what are called effect sizes, so it's statistically significant. I'm not totally sold on that, but I do think that there is something to always learning through life, always pushing yourself to learn something new, force those neurons. And in fact, when I define neuroplasticity in 30 seconds, we're going to really talk about it in quite in that way. So if you have high cognitive reserve, that tends to buffer and support you. There's also a relatively new sort of area of research that looks at the role of inflammation and dementia, particularly in Alzheimer's disease. And there is some evidence that would suggest people with cognitive reserve have more resistance to the stress inflammation cycle. Now, if we had more time, I would talk about how inflammation impacts on neurons and eventually on hippocampus and dementia, and perhaps that'll come out in a Q&A. But there is something there that is quite interesting. So neuroplasticity, you've probably heard of this before. It's very good science in this area. It's just the brain's ability to adapt or change through experience. This happens automatically as we experience life. We do new things. We solve problems. Every time we solve a problem, we're creating neuroplasticity, which is another way of saying we're forcing neurons to reconnect in more interesting and in stronger ways. I like to think about it in terms of intentionality. There are certain things that you can do, like certain, let's say, cognitive working memory exercises that are going to be very pro-neuroplastic in their impact. Again, neuroplasticity, like cognitive reserve, it's a lifelong process. As long as you're basically living, breathing, and thinking, you are capable of neuroplasticity. I did a project actually with a neurosurgeon in Philadelphia. It was an interesting one because he came to us because he was working with epileptic patients who were older, actually. And his observation was that neuroplasticity in these brains occurs even in people in their 80s and 90s, and even those who had dementia. And so the studies basically support this idea. Neuroplasticity can always happen even in dementia. Now how far and how expansive that plasticity is necessarily curbed by the number of neurons that are healthy. And in illnesses like Alzheimer's disease, you do lose them due to those toxic proteins like beta amyloid and tau. Also, I think about neuroplasticity a lot like gardening. You know, there's the synapses or the connection among neurons. They naturally prune themselves for efficiency. So there's a lot that's going on in your brain right now as you're listening to me. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the BH7 in just a moment. I want to emphasize 3 ideas for you, and my hope is that you take these home with you. So the first is that cognition is more than memory, and I think about it in terms of 3 things primarily, but I could tell you 14 things that the brain does that all are subsets of cognition, but 3 are really vital, and the BCAT test systems are really based on them. One, of course, is memory, and the memory can be measured in many ways. We assess working memory quite a bit, and I'm going to define that for you in a moment. But the executive control functions, the command and control center of the brain, which is prefrontal, above your eyes, where your forehead is, that's sort of like how you do things. So you might be able to remember to take a medication, but how you take the medication is not about memory. That's about executive control function. So cognition has to be assessed by looking at more than memory. So it's memory, it's the executive control functions, and it's attention, the ability to attend and focus long enough to learn something new, which, by the way, is probably as good a definition of working memory as I can think of. Okay, so cognition is a vital sign, memory is not. So this is the same idea. Cognition is broader than memory. The third bullet, though, we've been doing a lot of work on recently, which is well, how do you really think about memory? So obviously there are lots of different kinds of memory, um, but let me just say that memory is crucial. I think we all would agree to that. But memory is often reconstructive. So there is something called episodic memory, which is sort of like um, biographical memory, and then there's semantic memory, and that's the kind of memory for like facts, like where's the Euphrates River and things like that. But the autobiographical memories are almost always reconstructive. So there's really no such thing as absolute fidelity. So if somebody has a great memory, and maybe you are a person with a great memory, if it's an autobiographical memory, every time you access it, it's slightly changing. So this is a kind of a sit down and think about this for a moment. So, in a sense, when an experience happens the first time, it only happens once. You might say that nothing is permanent, all forms transform, and memory falls into that category. Perhaps I'll be invited back to talk a little bit more about memory and its reconstructive aspect. It's really, I think, quite interesting work. Okay, so working memory is a good lead in to talking about the Brain Health 7. It's one of the five major types of memory that we talk about. But essentially, it's what you do every day when you learn something new. And it can be a task or it can just be knowing how to get to the dining room. You know, if you have mild stage dementia, it's all involving working memory. And it involves two of those. Well, actually, in some respects, it involves all those cognitive domains, the major ones I talked about, you know, memory, executive control functions, and attention. So a person has to be able to attend long enough to learn something new. It's like a sketch pad. Working memory is temporary storage, and it's actually prefrontal. It's actually not memory at all, technically. It's part of the executive control functions. So what's interesting about it is that it's like a bin or a container, sketch pad, as I said a moment ago. And so it's limited in terms of time. So if you're going to make a new memory, you have to begin the process. What strategy am I going to use to learn something new? And you have a limited amount of time to do it. And I'll describe how that works in just a moment. So I think about it as one part attention and one part executive skill. And if you add them together, then you get to working memory. Clinically, or if you are a loved one living in Kensington and you're being assessed, a way of thinking about it is, well, how long can this person hold on to new information long enough to use it? If I'm writing a care plan for somebody and I want them to live a meaningfully engaged life and be as independent as possible, it is important to know how long can they hold on to information in order to use it in some ways. Working memory is one of those cognitive functions that does decline with age to some extent, but definitely declines with dementia. It's one of the key sort of indicators of a dementia process. Okay, so when we think about brain health programming, and I want to emphasize this point, we can think about it from cognitive levels. A person who's cognitively normal and what can they do for their brain health program? Well, you know, you can do certain things where you're maintaining it and building cognitive reserve. You know, that idea of trying to, in a sense, store things for you know, for a rainy day. So you could use them when you need them. For people who have mild cognitive impairment, which is a misnomer, it's not really mild, but it's not dementia either, you can actually improve in working memory, certainly working memory efficiency, and you can improve in function. So we have the science that's really clear on that. For people who have mild stage dementia, you can improve in working memory too, to some extent, because neuroplasticity is certainly possible, and there are very specific things that you can do, moving your body, moving your mind, that are really prescriptive, that can also improve function. For people who have moderate to severe stage dementia, it's not a lost they're not lost souls. It's not a lost category, but the emphasis becomes more on meaningful engagement, supporting mood and mitigating the BPSDs, those behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia. And that's something that they do a good job at the Kensington in doing. There are programs like MEMPICS and others that are really great for improving engagement in that way. I had said that working memory is time limited, right? So you have to begin the process of learning something new. If you have normal cognition in within 30 seconds, or it disappears. So I use this example quite often. If I asked you to memorize a phone number, I gave you the 10 digits, you'd remember it and be no problem. But if I said, okay, I want you to think about something else for 30 seconds, now tell me what that phone number was, most of you would not be able to tell me. Maybe the first three, because you would code the area code, but not beyond that. For people who have MCI, that's a memory or amnestic MCI, it's, let's say, 10 to 20 seconds. People have a dementia, particularly more progressive dementia, it might be 5 seconds. So why is this important, and why am I telling you this? Well, if you have a loved one who you're helping in some way, and you ask them to do something, and it takes more than 5 seconds to say what it is you want them to do, they're not going to remember the beginning of your sentence. So people at Kensington are very skilled at using the BCAT and other measures to determine, can this person hold on to something long enough, like something that's been told to them? If they can't, they're going to become agitated. And that's why this is important to know about. I'm asked this question all the time about increasing working memory. Can you really do it? There's a fair amount of science in it. What I would say is it's hard to improve capacity. It's not hard to improve efficiency. So can people get better at it? Almost always. Okay. So I'm going to skip down to talking about some disruptions in brain health, or what we call brain health subtractions. And then I'm going to talk about the BH7. So brain health should be intentional. It should be a plan that you have, not just something that happens accidentally. No different than you saying, you know what, I'm going to work on my physical health. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to do power walking. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go bike riding. I'm going to do Pilates. I'm going to do any one of many things that no doubt most of you are doing, but that's intentional. And brain health is the same way, because if you just live your life in an unintentional, non-intentional way, you're not going to improve your brain health. And in fact, as you age, there are complications that make brain health more disruptive. Poor sleep, poor diet, poor to no physical activity, they're subtractive of brain health. So it's not that your brain health stays the same, it's a dynamic process. You either make it better or it gets worse. You make it better or it gets worse. AUD and SUD, just terms that refer to alcohol use disorder or substance use disorder. It kind of makes sense. If you're flooding your brain with toxicity, probably is going to disrupt your brain health and your cognitive functioning. Interestingly enough, untreated depression and untreated anxiety, there's compelling evidence to suggest that that lowers brain health ability too. And of course, there are pathological medical conditions that can be subtractive: cardiovascular disease, infections, chronic inflammation, and other sorts of insults. Okay, so Brain Health 7, why are we so passionate about it? Well, one, the science is good. So you start with that, validated by strong science. We think it's very practical, and we think that almost anyone could do it, and it's fairly holistic. We spent a lot of time creating or determining what's not in the 7. So clearly there are other things that you can do, and if you're doing them and they're helpful, by all means do them. But some things that are out there don't rise to the science of these 7. And so let me talk about them in a little bit of detail. And I want to make sure that I'm conscious of time, because we have other people who have other important things to share with you. So these won't be surprising, but why they're helpful might be. So physical exercise is number 1. And in fact, if you rank all these in terms of brain health, and cognitive health and psychological well-being, what you find is that physical exercise is the most protective and the most promotional. And it doesn't have to be long. So we're not talking about training yourself to be able to run a marathon, or this idea of you should exercise an hour a day. From a brain health standpoint, that is protecting your neurons, your synapses, the structure of the brain, the things that go into supporting cognition, working memory, and psychological well-being. A minimum of 10 minutes per day is really all you need at that biologic level, right? So psychologically, you may need more, but you need to do that at least. Second, cognitive exercises. So this is the area that I get the most sort of, I don't know, focused on, I suppose, because this represents an opportunity cost. There's so much that's out there that doesn't have any evidence to it. So there are a suite of exercises that have pretty good science. We've been really focused on this area at BCAT, where they do seem to promote neuroplasticity and cognitive reserve. They seem to make working memory more efficient, and the science would be quite suggestive of that. So working memory exercises mean that they allow a person to expand their efficiency of attention, help them with the neuroplasticity involved in creating new strategies and things of that sort. And I'll give you some examples in a few moments. Centered breathing, a version of that might be meditation. So, there's a lot on mindfulness, and mindfulness is great, and certainly aligns with this idea that, the universe gives us this time in this place. Doesn't necessarily guarantee us more than that, I don't think. But if we can be actually present, what that does is it promotes it promotes parasympathetic response. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Diet is really important. Not more important than the first three that I talked about, but it is important. And it's important less for the positive things that you're consuming, but more important for subtracting the really negative ones. And the reason why I say that is that the body is very good at extracting what it can out of what you give it, but you don't want to give it things that are going to be toxic or negative for it. We've been strong proponents for a long time for what's called the MIND diet. Although the recent research on alcohol, sorry to say, is sort of changing. We used to be quite promotional to one glass of wine a day because of the phenols and the grapes and so forth. There was seemingly decent science on that. Sort of the more recent review on that science is not so evidential. So, a glass of wine a day, fine, but it doesn't have quite the same buffering effect that we thought it did at one point. Meaningful engagement is very specific. Some people do great in social situations where there's lots of people, other people do less well, need less, but everyone needs meaningful engagement. And I'll describe that in a moment too. Mood functioning is mostly about doing things that promote positive mood, but when you have a pathological or psychological situation like depression or persistent anxiety, what's important is that you get treatment for that. And there's a whole sort of area of science that looks at the role of chronic depression untreated in reducing what's called hippocampal volume, which is sort of in the limbic system, the structure of the hippocampus, as you may know, that's involved in making new memories. And sleep, which I think is maybe the most underrated, maybe most important thing to focus on. So I'm just going to say a couple things about each of those, give you an example of an app that you can use that you'll have access to called 15 for Me, and then I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the team. I'm going to skip this. Okay, physical exercise. Think about it this way. Yes, 10 minutes a day, every day would be good. But 5 times a week doing, let's say, at least 12 to 15 minutes at moderately stressful levels where you get your heart rate up. And of course, if you're somebody with some medical issues, it would be important, you always say this, to talk to your doctor before you engage on something really new in that way. So why does it work? It works from a brain health standpoint because of its impact on cardiovascular health. It's the whole oxygenation process and how we clear toxic proteins. So physical exercise, very good. I mentioned that cognitive exercises are arguably the second most important thing for you to do. They should be very targeted and very specific. If you want to check some out in particular, you can see them in the 15 for Me app that you can access. These have pretty good science to extremely good science, and there aren't that many of them. And though I think we're adding another one in the next couple of months, the reason why there aren't that many of them is that most of them don't work. So if they don't work, we can't put them in our system. I mentioned center breathing or meditation, and what's important about it is that in your life, in my life, we have stress hormones being released all the time. And that's good because they have a real role in maintaining our health. They have a real role in the inflammatory process, and they have a role in sort of repairing tissue and other kinds of damage. On the other hand, they also create a lot of problems. And so our system, our sympathetic system, which uses cortisol as a frontline, sort of the point of the spear, could cause problems in the hippocampus, can cause other kinds of problems in the microbiota of our gut, where we produce serotonin, the kind of happy neurotransmitter. So we need opportunities to engage our parasympathetic nervous system, our calming system. And nothing works better than center breathing for that. So that's why it's really an important thing for you to do. The diet thing is, limit caffeine, sugars, and alcohol, promote intake of protein. So we're now finding that protein really is important. And so there is an equation that you can use for how much protein you need. I don't think I have to go into great detail with that, but limit the bad stuff, add the positive stuff, lean proteins, leafy vegetables. I think you know most of this. You want to lower your risk for type 2 diabetes. If you already have type 2 diabetes, it needs to be well controlled. And that's because if you have type 2 diabetes, you have a higher risk profile for developing dementia if it's out of control. Meaningful engagement, I'm going to talk about it also in terms of dementia because we have this program called MEMPICS. We've been very bullish on this program. This evolved out of a CMS or Medicare funded study. We worked with them on trying to reduce antipsychotic use for agitation and dementia. And what we found is that if you have the right kind of meaningful engagement, then you don't have to use these medications as much because people are less agitated. And so meaningful engagement involves a sense of belonging and connection, activation of old memories, not recent memories for the most part. And it has to be a very active process. So engagement's important, but not so much so that you're overwhelming a person. I add mood functioning here, as I talked about it before, mostly because the science would say that when we are really stressed and we have a lot of cortisol and other stress hormones coursing through our body, it tends to be disruptive for many systems. And one of them is our gut system. So our gut is sort of the enteric system is kind of our second brain, and we produce neurotransmitters there. Most people don't know that, serotonin being one of them. 80 to 90% of your serotonin is produced in the gut, not up here inside your skull, where your primary brain is. When we're stressed and we have cortisol, and when we're depressed, what happens is that microbiota that allows us to produce serotonin is disrupted. So it's important. Finally, sleep. Sleep's really important because of two things, primarily. One is it reduces the proliferation, the gathering of those beta amyloid protein, which is associated with Alzheimer's disease, but also it's our master clock. So everything is in rhythm. 8 hours is important. If you think you only need 5, I would beg to differ with you. You don't have enough time to talk about sleep, really important hygiene aspect. I mentioned 15 for me. This is an app that we created. We created it in a 360 way for families of people, who might have cognitive impairment, for everyday folks who want to work on cognitive reserve and neuroplasticity, for caregivers and so forth. And it's based on the 3 C's of stress reduction and brain health. There's a cardio version, a cognitive version, and a center breathing version. There are also specific applications for dementia. One in particular is called Engage Your Senses. It looks like this. I don't have time to go through it all, but you'll have access to the PowerPoint through having a copy of this presentation. I would really encourage you to spend some time going through it. It's called 15 for me because you only need to spend 15 minutes a day. And it's a very workable program, I think, for you. So there's a lot of material that is education-based for families and for caregivers. Happy to make that available for you, and you can get access to that through Kensington if you're part of the Kensington family. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now
And I'm
and back over to Susan.
A couple comments, and then we'll invite Susan and Daniel to join us. But I love your optimism. That was so encouraging to me. And if we can all have a little optimism today, that is fabulous. And then, have you been to the Euphrates River?
No, I'm not even sure why I said that. Maybe
You
because it's
said
a
it
river I
twice.
can remember.
You said it twice today. That's why I had to ask that. But I have a couple questions. You mentioned if you can practice these 7 pillars of brain health, that you can actually delay your dementia onset. And you used an example from 80 to 86, I think you used. Is
5,
it
but yeah.
well, is it about 8% that you can actually throughout the progression of having MCI in this if you practice
I
these
can't
things?
I can't say that. What I can say is it's sort of, I mean, the science is about it's relational as opposed to quantifiable in increments. So what the science tells us is that if we practice the brain healthy behavior, we delay all the way down the stream, normal to MCI, MCI to dementia, mild to moderate, moderate to severe. Um, and it's not so it's directional, right? But it's ordinal. So it's not like, oh yeah, it's always 8% or always 4% or whatever. So there's no way yet that we have for quantifying that, but we're pretty clear on the science that as a general trend, it definitely delays, onset, and that's important.
Well, any delay is important because, we're getting closer and closer to some treatments that can be very helpful. So I'm a fan of that. And then practicing working memory. I loved your distinction between memory and cognition, but practicing working memory, can that actually enhance cognition?
Yeah, because working memory is sort of a foundational level for higher order cognition and function. So think about it this way. Think about it from a subtractive, not an additive way. Suppose that you wake up tomorrow and your working memory is less. That's going to affect your cognition greatly. It's going to affect your function greatly. So if there are ways of improving efficiency, and there are, we should be doing them.
And then can BCAT help a person with traumatic brain injury?
Yeah, so BCAT is really a suite of assessments and a suite of interventions. So um, it's not accurate to say that any system is going to impact everyone in the same way. It is important to say that if there are cognitive deficits that are emergent, that there are certain very specific prescribed things that one can do to better manage them and improve outcome and function.
And then the one that we always get, I think of Prevagen, but I'm not saying anything about that. But we talked about alcohol and drugs and all that stuff and eating. What about over-the-counter supplements, specifically creatine, which is getting big press right now, and D3? Any thoughts?
Yeah, so how I look at it, I'll take the science and make it pretty, sort of easy to understand, I hope, which is So it's not binary. It works or it doesn't work. It's additive. It's how much more support do you get from that in addition to all the other things that you're doing. And when you look at it that way, it's very little at this point. So to me, it's sort of like you could take supplements for many different things, but if you eat a healthy diet, you probably aren't going to get much more, if anything. And I think it's the same for a lot of these other, do everything else first. And if that doesn't work, then you can try some of these other things. But for those of you who know me, I'm not a huge supplement person.
I don't know many doctors and neurologists that are. And there's a reason that there's a lot of advertising dollars for some of the supplements, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you so much. You're welcome to join us, but I'm also going to ask Daniel and Susan to join us with Iris, please. You can both join us together if you like.
Yeah, hi
Susan?
everybody.
Hi. So Daniel, can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and your role as a team member at Kensington?
Absolutely. I'm Daniel Orozco. I'm the Associate Executive Director for the Kensington in beautiful Sierra Madre, California. I help oversee operations, clinical needs, just about anything here in our community. I am a licensed nurse as well. I do hold a BCAT certification and a PAC certification, along with RCFE administrator license as well.
And we will share with the audience at some point our relationship also with Tifa Snow and the positive approach to care, which is also something that Iris is driving, and we're so appreciative. But Iris, tell us a little bit about Daniel and Susan, who will be joining us shortly, role and what it means to be certified, if you would.
Yeah, so really excited for both certifications for BCAT and for PAC. So with the BCAT certification, they're able to do the assessments, and with the positive approach to care certifications, they're able to train, coach, and when we're saying training, you're looking at teaching a class, the concepts, but when we're talking about coaching, you're teaching approaches and coming alongside the care team. So it's definitely hand in hand. It's saying, okay, this is the BCAT score. This is what they've retained. This is the area that is not retained, and we need to fill in for them. What approach do we need with this person? How do we honor them without causing additional anxiety or stress? So beautiful opportunity for both of them, even as Daniel, nurse, as a nurse, as an administrator, to have that skill. And then Susan is also a gerontologist, and she's our Club Coordinator. So she's just, we're having these full packages here, that support and direct the care and life enrichment for our residents on site.
And Daniel, how has this BCAT tool that you have seen in your work improved or changed communication with resident families? Hello, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Hello.
Yeah, no, I mean, great question. It's improved drastically. The BCAT has really allowed us to use data-driven results after performing the assessment to really present to families. It is more definitive material that we can show the family on how the resident is doing as a whole, and create a more patient-centered care plan that we can present. So it's been extremely nice. And like Iris was just saying earlier, it provides a whole feel of the care plan together, which is really nice.
And how has that been received? I know as a family, my father was at Kensington. I would have loved to have this information tool for myself as well. How's it been received in the community?
Incredibly positively. I mean, it's not only do our staff, our directors love it, but our families love hearing it from us and being more involved and being able to see it in writing and all the extra level that we've been providing. We know that there isn't many partnerships out there, like Dr. Monsbach was saying earlier, that is as receptive as the Kensington. And we continue to be innovative, with Iris leading the charge and training us and providing these resources. So families love it. They love hearing us present it, and they love learning and knowing more about it. So it's been incredible.
Don't go anywhere. We're not done. Susan,
okay,
could you please introduce yourself and share with the audience a little bit about you as a team member at Kensington?
Sure, absolutely. So I have been with Kensington for 7 years in Redondo Beach, and I have a master's degree in gerontology, also a BCAT specialist, and also I am a PAC certified coach. And in March of 2024, I actually launched the Kensington Club, also K Club for short. And I have 8 residents, a small group setting for residents that are starting to show signs of a cognitive decline and that live within our assisted living neighborhood. And I work directly with the residents and the team and really to devote my time and get to build trust with the families and respect.
I love that. And could you tell me how you incorporate BCAT and the principles into life enrichment?
Yes, absolutely. So BCAT isn't something we pull out once and put away. It becomes part of how we plan every day in K Club. And we use what we've learned about each resident's cognitive abilities and to design activities that are meaningful, achievable, and enjoyable for them.
And
Whether it's me,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but can you share with the audience what K Club is for those that don't understand and why it was developed and why we utilize it?
sure, absolutely. So after COVID-19, we had a lot of residents that, were previously in their rooms, and they had really a lack of social interaction. And we had our residents that needed to be reassessed, after a certain length. And we noticed that there was quite a, some that had a cognitive decline for existing residents. So what we did is we decided, well, gee, it would be nice to have an extra buffer for memory care, but where we can offer some additional TLC for those that are within assisted living. And so that's the heart of what Kensington Senior Living decided to do is, let's have 3 levels of memory care. And so that's what really just started. And we started with 1 resident. We now are full with 8 residents. So it's a
Oh,
wonderful small group setting.
that's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. And then I'm going to ask both of you this next question, but I'll start with Daniel first. How does BCAT just improve, just real quickly, but just the daily life of a resident? And actually, not just the resident, but the entire community.
Yeah, I like Susan was saying, it's not something we put away. It is something that's already incorporated in our day to day. Our team utilizes the foundation of the BCAT to create what those activities look like, to create the care plan, and to make sure that we are carrying out what's appropriate based off their current cognition level. So it's improved because our team is trained to understand it, talk about it, and carry out the results of what that care looks like.
And Susan, does it really help the residents maintain dignity and independence through this daily ritual?
Oh, absolutely. They're with me all day. And from the time I, start when I come to work and then, when I leave for the day, but they really have, maintaining dignity is the heart of everything we do. And I feel that, we build opportunities for our residents to make choices, participate in meaningful activities, and remain as independent as possible. So even the small successes, choosing an activity, participating in a discussion can have a tremendous impact on confidence, purpose, and overall their well-being.
It must be so encouraging to actually witness that utilizing this relationship with Dr. Monsbach and the BCAT tools to really, I mean, Kensington, I will just share with the audience, really puts their love and their promise into helping the daily life and to keep the dignity for them. And they really saved my relationship with my mother, my father, and for me, because they took on the heavy lifting. And I encourage everyone to stop by a Kensington. And I'm going to let Iris share with you that you can actually sign up for a cognitive screening. But go to a happy hour at Kensington. It's at 4 o'clock. It's live music every day. And you can see the quality of the lives there and have a meal. I just encourage anyone looking for senior living to have a meal and to really experience what goes on daily in the lives of residents. And Iris is going to share some great news that we have for you.
We're pretty excited. We just want to introduce, that we are offering screenings at our communities. So we do have some information that'll be coming to you as, we're offering our BCAT specialists. We're not charging for it. It's something that we really want to give back to the community. One thing to think about is we are committed to supporting others in their journey with brain health in general. So don't look at it if you may be at the beginning of your process where you're saying, hey, I'm forgetting things, or I'm worried, or I got an assessment done and I don't understand what it means, or I got a MOCA done. That's okay. Come with our professionals. We will do the BCAT and we'll explain what it means. We'll help you on what the next steps look like. So please, be open and know that, the first step is the ball's in your court. The ball's in your court.
Stay for live music. And I just really applaud Daniel and Susan for really being like this litmus test for us to engage with this new partnership, because all the results are so encouraging. And so I share Dr. Monsbach's optimism, and I hope everybody can have this. The tools are amazing what we're offering. And thank you, Dr. Monsbach. Thank you all the people from Counterpoint, especially his right-hand person, Lynn, Iris, Daniel, and Susan. And have a good evening if you're on the East Coast, and have a good afternoon on the West. And thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.